And now for a Next News special report.
You've probably heard of the Circus, but have you ever seen one morph into a political debate stage? And that's what happened last night in Los Angeles as GOP contenders juggled their political stances under the big tent. Oh, and guess who played the elusive ringmaster? None other than Donald Trump, who decided the spotlight was brighter elsewhere. The clown car opened up, and out came the candidates, each with a trick up their sleeve, hoping to steal the show. But who tripped over their own feet and who managed to keep their balance on the political tightrope? And amidst the spectacle, could anyone actually capture the audience applause, or are they all just vying for a chance to be the sidekick to a larger act? Stick around for the answers, and I promise the final thought is one act you don't want to miss in this particular political circus that's unpacking tonight. As the lights warmed the stage for the grand show, there was no mistaking the circus tent vibe at the second GOP debate in Los Angeles. The ensemble of 7 gathered, jostling to fill the gargantuan void left by Donald Trump, who decided to play hooky once again. The atmosphere was ripe from a scene, from a clown car routine, only with podiums and rehearsed political catchphrases. Straight out of the gate was Florida's own Governor Ron DeSantis, who perhaps hoped his early swing at the absent Trump would land him a home run. It was a bold move for DeSantis, who had previously tiptoed around directly attacking Trump. It's like the governor was suddenly desperate to shed his Trump-adjacent skin and decided this was the night to play hardball. Unfortunately, taking swings at an absent contender felt more like shadow boxing than anything else. The subtle plugs about the glorious rain in Florida, well, they were about as subtle as a hammer to a thumb. Watch.
I want to ask you about something that I think is on a lot of Republicans' minds. This election could come down to less than 50,000 votes in 3 states. Abortion was on the ballot in 6 states in 2022. Republicans lost all of them. Next year, abortion will likely be on the ballot in Arizona. That is a must-win state. Governor DeSantis, how are you going to win over independent, pro-choice voters in Arizona?
Same way we did in Florida. We won the greatest Republican victory in a governor's race in the history of the state, over 1.5 million votes. We were winning places like Miami-Dade County, Palm Beach, that nobody thought was possible because we were leading with purpose and conviction. I reject this idea that pro-lifers are to blame for midterm defeats. I think there's other reasons for that. The former president, he's missing in action tonight. He's had a lot to say about that. He should be here explaining his comments to try to say that pro-life protections are somehow a terrible thing. I want him to look into the eyes and tell people who've been fighting this fight for a long time. My wife and I earlier today were at the gravesite of President and Mrs. Reagan, and I noticed that there was a quote where it says, every single person has purpose and worth. We're better off when everybody counts. And I think we should stand for what we believe in. I think we should hold the Democrats accountable for their extremism, supporting abortion all the way up until the moment of birth. That is infanticide, and that is wrong.
Let me ask.
Now, Christie, the once mid-mannered governor from New Jersey, decided to turn up the heat with a pitiful attempt to ridicule Donald Trump by dubbing him Donald Duck. I'm sure you've probably seen that comment thrown around in all your social media posts when you're defending the president. Donald Duck, right? Yes. Kindergarten name-calling tactic, always a surefire way to instill confidence in your potential voters. Despite the swing, the punchline landed with a thud and not a bang. Watch.
And Donald Trump should be here to answer for that, but he's not. And I want to look at that camera right now and tell you, Donald, I know you're watching. You can't help yourself. I know you're watching, okay? And you're not here tonight, not because of polls and not because of your indictments. You're not here tonight because you're afraid of being on this stage and defending your record. You're ducking these things. And let me tell you what's going to happen. You keep doing that, no one up here is going to call you Donald Trump anymore. We're going to call you Donald Duck.
All right.
Oh, that was a zinger. That was a zinger, straight from Hillary Clinton's mouth. Now, amid this dramatic display of desperation, the narrative takes an unpredictable turn, much like we often are blindsided by the unforeseen economic or political crisis, natural disasters. They strike without a script or a warning, just like the unpredictable jab of political rhetoric. In a world filled with the unexpected, readiness is our only stronghold, and currently My Patriot Supply is extending a rare 25% discount on the 3-month emergency food kit. With 1 kit per person, your family will be secured, prepared for whatever chaotic scenario unfolds, be it on the political stage or in your backyard. And don't miss the limited time offer. Visit preparewithgary.com to claim your 25% discount. Preparation is the real ace up your sleeve. Now back to the charade. Enter Vivek Ramaswamy, the once shining star who had played the game rather well during the last debate. However, this time his charisma seemed to have hit a rough patch. The rivals pounced on Ramaswamy's earlier business dalliances with China, a narrative that's become as overcooked as yesterday's reheated Chinese takeout. Ramaswamy was thrown into a game of political pinball, being bounced around by the seasoned politicians on the stage. Watch.
For slavery and not for illegal immigration. I'll go one step further, though. When we have a conversation about the things that are happening on this stage, we think about the fact that Vivek just said we were all good people, and I appreciate that, because last debate he said we were all bought and paid for. And I thought about that for a little while and said, you know, I can't imagine how you could say that knowing that you were just in business with the Chinese Communist Party and the same people that funded Hunter Biden millions of dollars was a partner of yours as well. It's not nonsense.
So look, here's what I want to respond. These are good people who are tainted by a broken system, and it's not the fault of anybody who's involved.
Some of us are tainted.
Excuse me. Thank you for speaking while I'm interrupting. While I'm speaking.
No, you said bottom paper.
If I may finish,
you can't be on both sides.
Gentlemen, you'll have your turn.
One of the challenges we should have.
Can we please focus on the issues that matter? We know we did business in China. Everybody knows that.
If I may address,
focus on holding Joe Biden accountable. That's what we need to be focusing on.
I actually agree with Ron DeSantis.
When everybody speaks at the same time, no one can understand
exactly.
your message.
So if I may, I agree with Ron DeSantis on China. When every other CEO expanded into the Chinese market, you know what I did with my first company? We opened a subsidiary in China. But you know what I did that was different than every other company? We got the hell out of there. And when I started my next company, Strive, right when that's years ago,
2023.
right when I started my next company, Strive, to compete against BlackRock, to compete against BlackRock, I made a commitment that we would never do business in China. And I will say something.
I think you have more than time to explain your point.
Whoa. Now let's shift focus over to Tim Scott, who took the opportunity to bring a touch of seriousness to the stage, challenging DeSantis on historical misinterpretations. His impassioned defense against DeSantis' past remarks resonated more than any rehearsed political slogan could. It's like Mr. Scott decided to bring a touch of reality to the reality show. How quaint. Watch.
You oppose to these new standards. What is your message for Governor DeSantis?
There is not a redeeming quality in slavery. He and Kamala should have just taken the one sentence out. America has suffered because of slavery, but we've overcome that. We are the greatest nation on earth because we faced our demons in the mirror and made a decision. So often we think that all the issues, you talked about crime and education and healthcare, we always think that those issues go back to slavery. Here's the challenge though. Black families survived slavery. We survived poll taxes and literacy tests. We survived discrimination being woven into the laws of our country. What was hard to survive was Johnson's Great Society, where they decided to put money, where they decided to take the black father out of the household to get a check in the mail, and you can now measure that in unemployment, in crime, in devastation. If you want to restore hope, you've got to restore the family, restore capitalism, and put Americans back at work together as one American family. Our nation continues to go in the right direction. It's why I can say I have been discriminated against, but America is not a racist country. Never, ever doubt who we are. We are the greatest country on God's green earth. And frankly, the city on the hill needs a brand new leader. And I'm asking for your vote.
And the moderators, they tried to play ringmasters in this circus, but alas, their futile attempts to rein in the unruly bunch only added to the farce. Dana Perino's attempt to trigger a vote off the island scenario was met with contempt visible from the cast. It was a painful reminder that even within a party, unity is but a fleeting mirage. Watch.
It's now obvious that if you all stay in the race, former President Donald Trump wins the nomination. None of you have indicated that you're dropping out. So, which one of you on stage tonight should be voted off the island? Please use your marker to write your choice on the notepad in front of you. 15 seconds starting now. Of the people on the stage, who should be? I'm absolutely serious.
With all due respect, I mean, we're here, like, we're happy to debate, but I think that that's disrespectful to my fellow competitors.
Nobody wants to. Nobody wants to participate.
Let's do some questions. Let's talk about the future of the country.
Oh man, what a backfire! As the candidates sparred, the moderators floundered, and the viewers wondered. The night ended with nothing gained, but much lost. The empty podium reserved for Trump seemed to mock the entire ordeal, reminding us all of the strange elephant not in the room. And then there was the growing disdain from the moderators, who seemed to have forgotten that the rule of engagement is to engage and not enrage. In a nutshell, the circus tent folded with no victors, just participants in a comedy of errors that was this GOP debate. The theater of the absurd played well into the night, leaving us with clips for the blooper reel, but not much for the annals of political triumph. On MSNBC, host Joy Reid said the debate felt like a student council debate. Watch.
If I could just agree with Nikki Haley on something tonight, I too feel dumber after experiencing that debate. Because if any, 7 people could have made Donald Trump appear to have more stature as a politician, those are the 7 people who could do it.
Because of the dynamic between them? Because of the quibbling kind of stuff that was happening?
It was very shouty.
Yeah.
There were a lot of good, sort of shade moments. You know, Tim Scott throwing shade at Ramaswamy, Nikki Haley throwing shade at Ramaswamy. He took a lot of incoming. Yeah. But it felt more like a student council debate than a debate for anyone who has any plausible possibility of being president. To be honest, even if Donald Trump wasn't in the race, none of them came across as having the stature of an executive. They all seemed like fellow legislators bickering about the things they've done. You know, Tim Scott kept talking about the bills that he's, gotten into committee. Okay, well, that's congratulations, Tim Scott. Nikki Haley sort of bickering about things she did as governor and then fighting with Tim Scott about it. It felt very small. And I think if I were, and I too am not, I can't relate to the Republican base, but none of them made an argument that sounded like an argument to be president of the United States.
The one thing I do like about Joy Reid, I love her haircut. Reminds me of Donald Trump. As the curtains drew on this act, the laugh track seemed to play on a continuous loop, awaiting the next episode in this grand political sitcom we find ourselves glued to. And as the dust settles on the great GOP circus, a stark reality comes into focus. It appears the real game is not about securing the presidential nomination, but auditioning for the second fiddle to Trump's lead. Each jab, each pithy retort seemed a desperate plea for a nod from the absent maestro. Meanwhile, Trump, in his classic unscripted style, took his show on the road directly to the people in Detroit, skipping the theatrical auditions in L.A. His no-show wasn't a bow-out, but a clever sidestep, a maneuver to rise above the scripted banter and orchestrated feuds. While the GOP contenders were busy trying to out-clown each other, Trump was having a heart-to-heart with the very people whose votes will actually matter. And in the politics of showmanship, that might just be the winning act. Congratulations, you made it to the end of the video. Now keep up your quest for truth with this next news report. And if you found our channel enlightening, join the millions who agree with you. Tap subscribe. Thank you for watching the Next News Network.